The WWE is still pulsing with excitement and electricity after what many are now calling one of the most shocking, unforgettable, and emotionally charged episodes of SmackDown Live in recent memory. Few could have anticipated the whirlwind of twists and turns, betrayal, destruction, and ultimately, redemption that unfolded in front of millions of stunned fans. What began as just another anticipated promo from CM Punk quickly evolved into a seismic event that changed the course of WWE history. As Punk made his way to the ring, microphone in hand, fans expected a verbal clash, a passionate monologue, maybe even a setup for another feud. But absolutely no one expected what happened next, the dramatic and thunderous return of Roman Reigns. Out of nowhere, the arena erupted when Roman Reigns charged down the ramp, not with the ceremonial slow walk of a returning icon, but with unrelenting intensity, ready to rescue CM Punk from a vicious ambush orchestrated by Seth Rollins and the brutal Bronson Reed. The shocking arrival of Reigns left fans in awe, silenced Paul Heyman, and sent a clear, resounding message across the WWE universe. The power dynamics had just shifted in a big way. The tension was already brewing from the opening moments of the show. CM Punk has been in the crosshairs of a newly formed and extremely dangerous alliance, one spearheaded by the manipulative Paul Heyman and led by the relentless Seth Rollins. With Bronson Reed serving as the faction's powerhouse enforcer, this group has been steamrolling its way through both Raw and SmackDown, leaving carnage, confusion, and fear in its wake. They've dismantled legends, disrupted matches, and cast a shadow of chaos across WWE programming. At the core of this rebellion has been Paul Heyman, always lurking with a smug grin, pulling strings like a puppeteer of destruction. Despite the growing threats, CM Punk remained defiant. Bruised and battered from prior encounters, he still walked to the ring with fire in his eyes. He stood tall and raised the mic, addressing not just Rollins or Heyman, but the entire WWE universe. He spoke of the scars he's earned, the betrayal he's endured, and the unyielding fight he's waged not for titles or accolades, but for the very heart and soul of professional wrestling. According to Punk, the WWE used to be about passion, grit, and honor. Now, in his eyes, it had become a playground for manipulation and destruction. And he was done being a victim. Just as he was laying his soul bare to the audience, the unmistakable theme music of Seth Rollins cut through the air like a siren. Rollins emerged, exuding arrogance, with Bronson Reed at his side, an ominous presence of sheer power. Behind them, Paul Heyman followed, his expression smug and self-satisfied, as if the chess game he had orchestrated was reaching its checkmate. As they marched toward the ring, the arena knew exactly what was about to go down. CM Punk stood ready, fists clenched, prepared to fight even if outnumbered. And fight he did. With a defiant burst of energy, Punk swung with everything he had, landing blows and briefly fending off his attackers. He rocked Reed, sent Rollins into the ropes, and ignited the crowd with his sheer tenacity. But it wasn't enough. The numbers overwhelmed him. Reed slammed him to the mat with bone-jarring force, and Rollins followed up with a brutal knee strike, and a devastating Falcon Arrow. The beatdown intensified, turning almost unbearable to watch. Rollins grabbed a mic and mocked Punk, calling him outdated, weak, and irrelevant in this new age of wrestling. Reed followed up with a thunderous tsunami splash that left Punk barely conscious on the mat. The fans erupted in boos, demanding someone, anyone, come to his aid. Then, in a moment that will be remembered for years to come, Roman Reigns' music hit the speakers. The response was instantaneous. The crowd exploded into a deafening roar. The camera cut to the ring, where Rollins and Reed looked stunned, frozen in disbelief. Paul Heyman, who had been grinning moments earlier, turned ghostly pale. He couldn't believe what was happening. The tribal chief had returned, and he wasn't walking, he was charging with purpose. Roman Reigns entered the ring like a storm. Reed rushed him first and was met with a Superman punch that sent him crashing to the canvas. Rollins attempted a sneak attack, but Reigns turned and delivered a spear that shook the ring. The fans were losing their minds as Reigns stood tall, having decimated the men who had tormented CM Punk. Punk, still gasping for air, looked up to see Reigns towering above the carnage. There was a moment of silence. Reigns extended his hand. The crowd went into overdrive. Punk hesitated, memories of their past tensions flickering in his eyes. They had a complicated history, rivalries, verbal jabs, and deep-rooted animosity. But in that moment, CM Punk recognized something deeper. They had a shared enemy. Maybe even a mutual respect. He took Reigns' hand, and the big dog pulled him to his feet. At ringside, Paul Heyman stood frozen, his hands on his head, watching his past and present collide in a nightmare he hadn't foreseen. Roman Reigns, once his greatest protege, was now standing shoulder to shoulder with the man Heyman had tried to destroy. Reigns said nothing. He didn't have to. His presence alone was a statement of intent. As he stared down Heyman with cold fury, the message was clear: the days of unchecked chaos and manipulation were over. He turned and exited the ring, leaving behind an arena full of stunned fans, and a narrative forever altered. The image of Roman Reigns and CM Punk standing united sent shockwaves through WWE. Social media caught fire. Backstage sources said wrestlers were in disbelief. Heyman's empire, so carefully constructed through months of deceit, now stood on crumbling ground. Roman wasn't just back, he was back with purpose. And that purpose was justice. As the show faded to black, CM Punk grabbed the mic and, still catching his breath, muttered, "Didn't expect that, but I'll take it." Reigns remained silent, eyes locked on Heyman, whose mind was clearly racing. Was this a one-time act of mercy from Reigns? Or the beginning of a powerful new alliance, aimed at dismantling everything Heyman and Rollins have built? Only time will tell. But one thing is undeniable: Roman Reigns' return has changed everything. The war lines are drawn. On one side, Seth Rollins, Bronson and the manipulative genius of Paul Heyman. On the other, CM Punk, battle-hardened and determined, possibly now backed by the most dominant force WWE has seen in years. What happens next could redefine the future of WWE. Is Reigns now a permanent fixture in this fight? Will he and Punk become allies in the war against Heyman's faction? Or is this an uneasy truce with an expiration date? And what of Heyman, torn between his past with Reigns and his current allegiance to Rollins? One thing is for sure: the tribal chief has returned, and with him comes a reckoning. This isn't just about titles anymore. It's about legacy, truth, and the fight for the soul of professional wrestling. Stay tuned. The real battle is just beginning. The atmosphere in the WWE is still crackling with energy, and the aftershocks are continuing to ripple through the locker room, social media, and the hearts of fans worldwide, following what many are calling one of the most jaw-dropping, emotionally charged, and era-defining episodes of SmackDown Live in recent memory. In an industry known for its drama, unpredictability, and larger-than-life moments, this particular night managed to stand out as a true turning point, a night that combined pure adrenaline with intense storytelling, and a jaw-dropping return that will be remembered for years, maybe even decades, to come. The night began with tension, so thick, it was practically tangible. For weeks, now, CM Punk has found himself in the crosshairs of a dangerous, fast-growing alliance in WWE, a faction that has been striking fear into anyone who dares to stand in its way. This faction is spearheaded by none other than the self-proclaimed visionary Seth Rollins, who has taken his manipulative tendencies to new levels under the guidance and sinister influence of the ever-calculating Paul Heyman. With Bronson serving as their enforcer, a man whose sheer size and strength command attention, the trio has run roughshod over both Raw and SmackDown. They've laid waste to legends, hijacked matches, and thrown the entire WWE landscape into chaos, all while Heyman looked on from ringside, that smug grin of his never fading. He's the puppet master behind this circus of violence, and for too long, no one has been able to stop him. Despite all of this, CM Punk hasn't backed down. He's faced this threat head-on with unwavering courage, even as the beatings have mounted and the psychological warfare intensified. Bruised, battered, and visibly worn from weeks of relentless attacks, Punk stepped into the ring once again on SmackDown, not as a man defeated, but as a man ready to continue fighting, even if he had to do it alone. With microphone in hand, he spoke from the heart, his voice echoing through the arena not just as a performer, but as a warrior with a mission. He talked about the pain, the betrayal, the broken friendships, and the battles he's endured, not just in the ring, but within the company he once helped carry. He spoke of loyalty and of how the WWE has drifted away from its roots.